And today was the final day of the BRICS 2018 summit held in Johannesburg. It's been an intense 3 days, culminating in BRICS leaders adopting the Johannesburg Declaration, which of course emphasized the importance of fair trade, sustainable development, and an inclusive economy. Now, of course, CGTN is on ground to bring you the latest updates on the summit. Let's now cross to my colleague Ramanyang in Johannesburg to get more on today's events. Over to you, Rama.
Indeed, welcome to Johannesburg, South Africa for our coverage of the 10th BRICS Summit. Now, the 27th of July was the last day of this year's annual event. The South African President Cyril Ramaphosa was pretty much front and center among the deliberations today, and he made a fairly strong case for everyone present, for all the countries present, to invest a lot more in education, poverty reduction, and of course the enhancement of skills right across the board in the face of rapid technological challenges. He made those statements at the BRICS outreach event, where leaders from Africa and the Caribbean and of course Latin America are present as well. With the details, here's CGTN's Yulisa Njamela.
Several African leaders joined the BRICS Leadership Summit in Johannesburg on its last day. The focus was mainly on relations within the continent. Many African heads of state present emphasized the importance of cooperation with BRICS countries. They also encouraged initiatives for better and more trade between the countries. BRICS Africa Dialogue Forum holds a special significance as it seeks a more inclusive partnership between the leaders of BRICS and African leaders and institutions.
BRICS countries have worked individually to promote cooperation and development with Africa. The partnership pursued through the BRICS Africa outreach is rooted in a firm belief that the political and economic potential of Africa as a continent is a great priority. It speaks to the promotion of peace and security, advancing industrial capacity and economic integration, and champions a people-centered approach to sustainable development.
The BRICS heads of state were also in attendance at the BRICS Outreach Dialogue session.
It's another major opportunity for us to fully deepen BRICS partnership with African countries. China and Africa are always good brothers, good friends, and good partners.
On the international front, BRICS leaders reaffirmed their commitment to multilateralism, international trade, and what they term rules-based world order. The leaders have agreed to coordinate positions on international and regional matters to uphold multilateralism and ensure that the world order is fair and equitable.
This BRICS summit has sent a clear message about supporting multilateralism. It fully shows the important role of BRICS countries and other developing countries and our strong sense of responsibility. We must work together to implement UN 2030 agenda. North-South cooperation should remain the main channel for international development cooperation, with South-South cooperation playing a supplementary role.
Global trade rules should facilitate effective participation of all countries in the multilateral trading system, and that development must remain integral to the work of the World Trade Organization.
President Ramaphosa and President Xi Jinping will now meet later this year in China for a state visit. Ramaphosa will also attend the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation in that country. Yulisa Njamela, CGTN, Sentin, South Africa.
Now, the 10th BRICS Summit also did focus, as I just mentioned, on an outreach, essentially, between the BRICS and, of course, partner countries in Africa and Latin America and the Caribbean as well. One of the things that was very much in focus in that session was the need for more investment, not just in trade, but also in infrastructure as well. Related to that, a renewal of global governance structures around the world. With the details, here's CGTN's Beryl Ooro.
Even as BRICS is one of the key forces shaping the global economy, its impact on the continent and beyond is now gaining momentum.
Well, it's an excellent opportunity for Jamaica to engage with the BRICS leaders. I think the transition of the grouping from what may have been viewed primarily politically to one that is seeking to leverage economic strength is particularly important to small, vulnerable economies like ours.
The Association of Emerging Economies has focused its cooperation on infrastructure, health and security.
I hosted last week Friday, exactly a week ago, a summit of ministers of health from the BRICS countries. And there were 5 main topics that were on the agenda on that day. The first one was the issue of TB. I'm sure you might have picked up that TB is now #1 killer of all infectious disease in the world, but somehow it remains below the radar screen. And we have worked very hard to make it go to United Nations high-level meeting of heads of state in September. So we're preparing for that meeting and what actually we want from that meeting. The second major topic which was discussed was universal health coverage. The fact that in the BRICS countries we need an instrument. Now that we are all signatories of the United Nations universal health coverage, we need an instrument that is going to help us to monitor and evaluate ourselves in BRICS countries, how far we have been or how far we've been successful in implementing universal health coverage. We also discussed the issue of R&D, especially in vaccine research and development in vaccines, and the issue of availability of medicines. And the last, the implementation of international health regulations of the World Health Organization 2005.
BRICS members echoed the need to exploit the diverse resources present within their nations. The bloc is seeking to play a key role in driving Africa's 4th industrial revolution.
When I attended the meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos, where they were talking about it for the first time, I think 2015, the 4th industrial revolution, to me it sounded a distance away. Now that the people could sit together now, so soon, and even make it one of the themes for the BRIC countries, I think it's evolving very fast.
BRICS' growing investment in Africa is in line with the goal of multilateralism in the wake of changes in the global trading environment. Beryl Ooro reporting for CGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.